Hey, everybody, it's the Plant-Based Business Hour. I'm Elysabeth Alfano. So happy that you are here with me today. What is the future of online grocery shopping? Let's get into it. I've got the CEO and co-founder of Vejii with me today, Kory Zelickson. Vejii is set to be the largest online vegan retailer that there is. So Kory's got lots to share today. Kory, thanks for being with me.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I just want to dive right into it because, every day our lives are shifting. Are we post-COVID? Are we not post-COVID? Are we going back to grocery stores? Are we never going back to grocery stores? Are we in Zoom forever? I just don't know the answer to a lot of these things, but maybe you do. Help me out, first of all. Vejii, which people can also find by hitting shopvejii.com, is an all-vegan plant-based online retailer. And I think my first question for you is why? Because there were other vegan retailers before.
I think for me, ultimately, the goal is to help further mainstream vegan and plant-based products.
Yeah.
And our mission is to provide the largest assortment of vegan products in a consolidated shopping experience. And as to why, it really boils down to the fact that even when you go to grocery stores today, they have a great selection of plant-based products that's definitely, compared to a couple of years ago, there's a lot more variety. But for somebody that's vegan, you still end up having to go to a lot of specialty stores or shopping at multiple grocery stores to get everything that you need. So the goal with what we're doing is to really have everything that you need to buy for a plant-based diet for your family or for yourself, all together in one location.
Mm-hmm. I was talking with a friend of mine, a new colleague, so we don't know each other that well. And somehow we stumbled on online shopping. And she was saying, like, I go to Whole Foods and then I go to Trader Joe's and then I go online because I can't find everything in one spot. And it's actually like a part-time job. So we see the benefit to having a one-stop shop, large selection. So do you see yourself as a replacement for grocery stores, or this is something that people do in addition to?
I think that as we were talking about, even separately from COVID, there has been over the last number of years a trend towards online purchasing for convenience purposes, and frankly, grocery stores just don't have the amount of selection available yet for people that we can offer. So I think that there's always going to be people that are, we still go to the grocery store on a regular basis too, but this is one place where people that are plant-based already or interested in becoming vegan or just incorporating more plant-based products into their lifestyle, that they can come to our site and know that everything on the site is vegan. And that I think is what is the big differentiator for us, is that when you walk into a grocery store, you're still having to go down the aisles and look at labels, right? So this is the opportunity to know that anything that you buy on our site is going to be vegan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great differentiator. And also it's an enormous time saver. So like my colleague and I were saying, we have to go to one store and then another store, and then you still have to supplement by going online. This was prior to Vejii being available. So that ability to have everything you want in one place, grocery stores can never do that, because right now they've got vegan kind of relegated to the closet by the bathroom. But even when they bring it out to like the rest of the world, there's only so much real estate in a grocery store. So I think it'll be interesting, though, as grocery stores, I am assuming, are going to try to revamp themselves in a post-COVID world. And the benefit, so if you have space, because you can offer as many things as possible and they can't, one of the benefits perhaps that they have is that they can be this entertainment center. I think COVID has been a tailwind for people taking their own health into their own hands, reading labels, as you say, being very nutrition minded so that they can stay healthy. And so as there's this drive for nutrition information, in a way, grocery stores become kind of center stage for that entertainment or information drop. And I wonder if you see yourselves doing experiential marketing to be a source of information for people about nutrition.
I would say that our approach to engagement within the vegan community and outside of the vegan community is pretty innovative. And the way that we're approaching that through social media platforms and engagement with our customers is something that we're developing and that's unique as well. So I don't necessarily see it as an entertainment center per se, but we want to be engaging with our consumers And we also want to be able to get feedback from our consumers as well. So that's what's really important to us, because we're offering so many brands and so many products, and we're really keen on data analysis and looking at what our consumers are looking for. And the demographic of people in one region might be buying different products than the demographic of people in another region. So understanding our consumers and engaging with them is critically important for our business model. And then, from the social media perspective is really where we're trying to be cutting edge with how we engage.
And help me understand what that means, being cutting edge in social media, because I'm always looking at what's going on, and it's fascinating to see your take on that.
We're getting involved in a lot of influencer and celebrity relationships, and we're focused on adding Instagram Reels and educational information, recipe guidelines, and recipes that come through the video where you can click and buy the entire assortment of products that you need for that recipe. If you're enjoying watching an influencer making a dish, we have everything available at the same time. So we're trying to integrate the e-commerce portion with the social media and our influencers together through Instagram stories and Reels and live streaming to engage our audience better.
It is about time. I have been waiting for that feature for so long. And I know that some stores have tried to do it, but never have done it successfully. So I think it's the marketplace is really ready to be able to watch that cooking video and then just with one click be able to buy everything that was in that video. Yeah. That would be really groundbreaking. You segue me to my other question. I mean, I've still got lots to talk to you about direct to consumer and how, shopping is going to change, but I think I'll go right into AI, because you were kind of alluding to it here, that you get a lot of data from what people are buying and you can segment out that data for different parts of the United States. I'm guessing you can do the same for age groups and income levels and education. And you have this huge database. So tell me how AI is driving your site.
The key purposes for AI and the platform are to analyze data and provide a unique buying experience for every consumer. When I started in e-commerce many years ago, it was literally a guess. You were like, this is what I think is going to look good, and this is what I think is how people are going to react to the way that we've laid out a site. So now everything is in a very iterative approach to it, so that we're constantly analyzing the data to optimize the site and improve the buying experience. And the AI plays into that portion of it. And then also into understanding buying behavior and the requirements for us when it comes to inventory stocking and which brands are trending in the platform and where we need to focus our time and energy to.
Well, can you share that with us? Because I'd love to know. You are in this truly unique position of seeing what people want, the volume that they're getting, the acceleration rate of what is selling more, what is selling less, et cetera. I'd love for you to share some of the key learnings that maybe you didn't expect.
Well, you know what? After we initially launched the site, we saw it pretty quickly, and I did suspect that the most popular categories for consumers are plant-based meat, dairy, and seafood. So for that reason, we launched Vejii Express, which is really a platform that's like an accelerated delivery platform, you can call it, for the most popular products that are on the site. And what is really interesting, I think, is, and I believe it's sort of the next trend for the space, is plant-based seafood. So we've been, obviously, there was the original launch of like the Beyond Burger and lots of plant-based beef and meat products. But right now, I'd say our top sellers might be the vegan shrimp there.
Really? The top one here, I'm seeing all vegetarian. I think that's the brand name. I'd never heard of them before, actually. Vegan shrimp. That's one of your top sellers?
Very popular, yeah. Yeah. It's plant-based seafood, meat and dairy products now are by far the most popular in the platform. We are obviously looking to grow the other segments and categories that are offered in the site. But just based on consumer demand today, this is really the top categories.
So this is really fun for me, for those listening on podcast, as I scroll through the Veggie Express portion, and I want to find out what that really means exactly. But as I scroll through, I'm seeing a lot of brands that I didn't even know exist. Beehive, I've never tried them, and I'm working with a European pizza company, and we are on the hunt for the right pepperoni. And I see you have vegan pepperoni slices from Beehive. I'm going to have to check them out. Maybe you can hook me up. That's cool. And then you have all vegetarian, vegan shrimp. Okay, Beyond Meat. I would have expected that. Lots of Gardein. Love all that. Taquitos. So I did not know that Taquitos had a vegan line. So that's pretty awesome. I'm kind of amazed how much I'm seeing here that I didn't expect to see. All vegetarian, vegan bacon slices. This is pretty cool because it's a bit of a knowledge drop for me. Some of the brands, as I say, I didn't. Hey, Tofurkey has a ham roast with amber ale. I did not know that. Okay, so this is interesting to me. The kind of breadth of what you have, and Miyoko's cheese. Oh, great. Some cheddar cheese slices, which is awesome. So you can get a lot of stuff here that obviously you can't get in the grocery store. Tell us what Veggie Express is exactly.
Veggie Express is designed as a platform for the most popular products on our site. And from our initial launch and what we started to understand from our customers and looking at some of the competitors online, and especially with COVID, a lot of concerns have been around shipping times and the delays that people see from when they place an order to when it ships. So basically with Veggie Express, we guarantee that we'll ship the product within 2 business days to you. And also in consideration of the fact that these are all frozen products, right?
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we're being as efficient as we can with that process. But Veggie Express is consolidating all of the most popular products in a faster delivery window for our customers.
Mm-hmm. So that just makes a boatload of sense. And I figured that would be coming soon. Ultimately, there is a lot of pressure on any online retailer that they've got to, pick up the speeds, which was, I think, problems for other vegan retailers in the past. They not only didn't have the breadth of the choice, but they couldn't get there very quickly, or they were subscription based, which for the record, everybody, you are not. Okay. So I guess maybe when I think about it, not that much of a surprise. Vegan meats, vegan cheeses, big. Okay. I'm excited to see that vegan seafood is also high in demand. I mean, I knew it was coming down the pipeline because I talked to so many brands, but I hadn't realized the average consumer was starting to already think about vegan seafood. So I'm really happy to hear that. What else are you seeing that, again, your data is a surprise to you? Maybe it's the age groups, or what sort of, or with flexitarians? Are you getting some flexitarians, or is it mostly vegans?
Yeah, you know what? Our goal with this, like I said, is to help to mainstream vegan products. And so I really don't want to take the approach of making it exclusively for vegans, which some of our competitors' sites are really vegan orientated. And so for us, we feel that we're going to make a bigger impact by making it an all-inclusive platform that's appealing for vegans and non-vegans. So it's almost like selling a non-vegan, as an example, a Beyond Burger is almost a bigger win than selling somebody that is already vegan a Beyond Burger. So in terms of the demographic, we're really trying hard not to make it feel like it's exclusive for vegans, but instead trying to appeal to the much larger population of flexitarians.
And are they coming to you? Like, I know you want to appeal to them, but are they also getting online and cha-ching, spending some coin?
We don't make them sign a survey when they sign up in terms of what their diet is. But from the feedback that we get through our social media platforms, and also even when it comes to influencers as well, we're not just looking to work with influencers that are vegan influencers, but other influencers that have that are interested in veganism or interested in a plant-based diet and can help bring it to the general population.
Yes, and make it relatable, which is, always great. Well, maybe let's talk a little bit about how you're working with brands who maybe during COVID felt the need, of course, to scramble and go D2C because they were perhaps a younger brand, not a Beyond Meat, but a younger brand that was just about to get distribution in the grocery store, and they didn't get it because of COVID. And so they immediately switched and went D2C. Are you finding that brands see you as competitors, or are they just saying, thank God you exist, now I don't have to do D2C anymore?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would say that we're kind of agnostic when it comes to brands. Like, we are a marketplace, so the goal is to offer the consumers what they want, and also to help provide resources for smaller brands and startups. So the idea
Yes.
is that brands can come to us and they can onboard directly into the platform through our vendor portal. So brands that are startups that want to gain national exposure can list their products on our site, and we'll promote and sell them to our consumers across the country. So we're really
I
trying
see.
to, and since we've launched, we've just been overwhelmed with the amount of brands that have been approaching us to list on the site, which is really exciting. And we're part of the Plant-Based Foods Association as well, that I know you're familiar with. And they have a really cool interactive map of the US that lays out all the different plant-based companies by their geography on a map. And it's just
That's cool.
really encouraging and amazing to see how many startups and
Yes.
innovative companies are coming to the market. And
Mhm.
so I really never want brands to see us as a competitor, but more as a platform or a channel.
Mhm. So brands can continue to do D2C perhaps and work with you at the same time.
Absolutely.
So for some brands, because you do warehouse some product, yes, and you bring that product in, and others you just promote the product, and when the orders come in, the individual brand ships it out. Do I have that right? You do both?
So we warehouse inventory for Veggie Express ourselves. Those are the high velocity items.
I see.
Then we have brands that onboard directly to the site and do their own shipping from their own fulfillment.
Okay.
There are brands that have great products that are not set up for e-commerce or D2C shipping, in which case we do offer fulfillment services for them through our warehouse.
Okay, so lots of opportunities for brands to find a way basically that works with them. And I'm not surprised that you've been overwhelmed, or you've had an onslaught of brands that have wanted exposure on Veggie because you're growing so quickly. And this has been a pain point, not just for the vegan consumer that can't find the breadth of choice, but for the vegan brand that hasn't been able to get distribution, because distribution can be very expensive, even in non-COVID times. If you do get distribution with a regular grocery store, it can be very expensive. And then obviously in COVID times, grocery stores have been really remaining more true to meat and dairy and staples that they think everybody wants. Although that's shifting because plant-based has done so well during COVID, but still, it's not easy to get into a distributor. And then from the distributor, get into the grocery stores. So it's a real benefit for the brands because it's a pretty quick process as well. How long does it take to onboard somebody?
Right now, we're looking at a 1 to 2 week window for onboarding, just with the amount of backlog that we have. But we're also adding resources to improve that as well.
So that's nothing. Like a grocery store chain, by the time you get a distributor and you get to the grocery store, you're looking at like 8 months, because sometimes they only let people in seasonally. So you have to wait for the next open window, and then it's expensive. There's usually slotting fees and other
Yeah,
things. So,
yeah.
it all adds up, and it's quite inconvenient for the brand.
We
So,
actually have we actually have a brand that we're working with that's building their distribution to brick and mortar and grocery stores that we're launching exclusively online first.
oh,
So because
great.
they have production now, and so this is a way for us to start building demand through the online platform prior to them being available through grocery stores or chains.
Yeah, I can see this very much as a hand-in-hand operation where you wouldn't have to decide either Veggie or a grocery store, but you could do both, and you could do very unique marketing for both. So you can really appeal to the person who does want to shop online, and you can also still appeal to the person who wants to be in the store and touch and feel things. But again, that person doesn't have much of a choice when it comes to vegan brands. So, yeah, I see the benefit for a special launch online. Um, well, I'm wondering if what your thoughts are about the environmental impact, not just for Veggie, but for all online shopping, the Amazons of the world, as well as direct to consumer for individual brands. How do you see that shaking out in the future, as I think a lot of people move towards online shopping?
It's definitely a big consideration, and we're fully aware that our largest impact is derived from shipping of products across the country that are coming with gel packs frozen. So there's a lot of materials involved with that. And probably the biggest initiative that we're taking to mitigate that is in developing regionalized distribution centers.
Right.
So that, we're not shipping something from, Texas to New York. But again, going back to the data portion, we really have the ability to look at our consumers and the demographic, where people are buying from in the largest quantities. And that's sort of the basis for how we establish where our distribution centers are going. And diving even further than that, within that particular region, those consumers, might be buying a little bit of a different product assortment than ones from a different region. So we're really looking at utilizing the data to set up these regionalized distribution centers, which ultimately reduce the amount of time traveled to a consumer, reducing our carbon footprint from shipping, and more significantly, reducing the amount of packing material that's needed for these shipments.
And I'm curious, because you do have all this data that I'm so curious about, which areas of the country are buying the most?
We're seeing a lot of demand from California and the East Coast and the New York area too. Okay. But we also have other, Oregon, Texas, Austin's, a big market too. So, we're seeing a lot of growth across the country, but we're just trying to identify the sort of the key regions that we want to start focusing on, and eventually getting to the point where we can offer the same level of service in terms of delivery windows as a company like Amazon or Instacart. Because we get asked all the time, how you compare to Amazon. Why would somebody buy something from you when they can go buy Beyond Meat from Amazon? And, for us, I think that, and in the industry that we're in, right, more and more consumers have the ability to choose where they're purchasing from and choose a company that is most aligned with their own ethics and values. Mm-hmm. And for people that are vegan or vegan curious, not likely going to be Amazon. But where we feel we want to play is in terms of like the delivery windows and the logistics around delivery. We'd like to be able to start offering same-day delivery service on a regional basis in key metropolitan areas, so that we can compete, so that that's not a sticking point for somebody.
Yeah, I can see that as being very valuable. Everybody wants it faster, sooner, directly to their door. And if you could actually stay and cook it for them, that would be great too. I mean, they really want everything done for you. I see another great benefit to this, and that is you name what I thought you might name, which is the East Coast, Oregon, California. Those are the big buying, Texas. Those are the big buying centers. But it's all the vegans or flexitarians for two reasons might want to try vegan in Tennessee or Arkansas or what have you. So they don't have the option, and they don't want to be visible in their purchasing. For some people, it's still very much a stigma, and this gives them the opportunity in, North Carolina or other places where they don't have the option in the grocery store, and still most of the population isn't buying plant-based options, to try things and decide for themselves without having to make a public statement about it. So I think that's very exciting.
That's a very interesting perspective. I like that.
I also saw when we were on the Shop Vejii site, Veggie Express, and I'm going to share my screen again because I have a question about this. I see that there is a slash line through a lot of products where there seems to be a price reduction, and in fact, all of the products. And I'm wondering if you could talk to me about pricing. It seems that either you're working out really great deals with these brands, or because you don't have brick and mortar, you're able to bring down the prices. Here's a shocker for me. Okay, if anyone's ever tried Just Eggs, your Just Eggs are $4.98. How's that possible?
Our goal is to provide our customers with the best pricing possible. Also, considering the fact that there are brands that have MAP pricing, right? So there's brands that try to regulate their pricing so there's not gouging and undercutting. So that being said, we always try to, we look a lot at our competitors and what else is available online, and we always try to be the most affordable without violating any sort of minimum advertised prices that are set by brands directly.
Okay, shout out. Again, I'm finding all these brands that I myself either didn't know about or I couldn't have access to. Plant Ranch, Carne Asada. I love them. Shout out to them. And I'm going to have to try some taquitos as long as somebody else in my household eats all of them and I only try one. That would have to be the rule there. Okay, I'm sharing the Veggie Express area, but I also want to just show you do way more than food. So you have wine, woohoo, but you also have vitamins and herbals, grocery store protein and nutrition, pet supplies, baby and kids, and personal home care. Do you anticipate having fashion?
You know what, that's a great question. And I definitely do anticipate having fashion and beauty products in the site. And I was just having the conversation with somebody a week ago, and I think that with the trend where this is going now, I think that there are some brands now that are producing like vegan leather goods, which is really innovative, and there's really well-known brands also like Nike that came out with a pair of vegan shoes. And I think over the next number of years, it'll be really exciting to see major brands adding vegan product lines into their offering. So, like leather goods or, luxury brands and handbags. I think I saw Hermes came out with a vegan, like that's, in my opinion, that's like really innovative and a huge step to see significant brands like that coming out with plant-based leather products. And so I think that will be a big category, and there's a lot of growth potential there too. It's just not as evolved yet as some of the other categories are.
Yeah, I'm over the moon about it. So you're right. Hermes just is putting together a line of vegan goods. Stella McCartney's coming on the market. I love her as a designer. Yes, with mushroom leather. And then you had mentioned Nike's. Also, Adidas has been very supportive in this area. Lots of vegan shoes. So very exciting. And I would love to see some fashion on the side. I think there's lots of room for opportunity there. And just very exciting about the materials market in general. It's following the way of food. It's a parallel situation. So wonderful. But as we talk about products that maybe you don't have on your site yet, what kind of product would you like to see in the marketplace that isn't even there yet, but maybe you're getting questions or demand for?
I don't have specifically. I think for what we're offering now, I think there'll be upcoming fashion brands that'll be able to be processed on the site. What I'm interested in seeing is also automotive companies starting to incorporate, vegan. I think Tesla right now is the only brand that I know of offhand that's doing like a vegan leather line too. So I think there's so many things that can change in the future, even outside of what the offering on our site is now. Maybe one day we'll be selling cars on the site. I don't know, but I think that's an area of interest for sure. But yeah, fashion and accessories are definitely a big key category. I think that will be gaining traction over the next couple of years.
Yeah, it is interesting to see what's happening in the automotive industry because automotive leather is second only to shoe leather in terms of how much leather they use and produce. So when Tesla went out of its way, which is why they're in the VegTech Index, the Vegan Global Impact and Innovation Index, when they drew a hard and fast line saying that they were going to have vegan leather, then Mercedes-Benz followed suit on some of their cars, as did BMW on some of their cars. So that's a tremendous impact on the environment when the second liter of leather starts to change its ways. That would be the automotive industry. So very exciting to see what takes place there. But maybe since we're on predictions of where things might go, maybe you can give me some of your predictions. And I'll say that as twofold: your predictions for online shopping and also your just predictions for the plant-based market as a whole.
I think that we're going to continue to see growth in online shopping. That was trending already before COVID even happened, and COVID just accelerated online purchasing. And in terms of like our market, I think plant-based seafood is going to be a next big trend. And what I've mentioned and we've talked about before too is I think that the cultured cell-based meat products and dairy products are going to be one of the biggest innovators and game changers for the meat industry because it's so fascinating, right? And the idea that, they can grow meat or dairy in the lab, essentially. And I think that when they can do that at scale in a cost-effective way, I foresee meat companies incorporating that into their products. So reducing their carbon footprint, the environmental impact, helpful really for animal welfare as well. And I just think that that is one of the most innovative development categories in this space. And it's interesting, like we were talking about it like last week with, our consumers, right? Or if you have, a large demographic of vegans, would vegans eat cell-based meat that is still 100% meat, but did not involve the slaughter of an animal? So it's a really ethical discussion, I think, for vegans, and something that everybody needs to wrap their head around. But in the meantime, development in that particular area, I think, will have a big impact specifically in the meat industry when it becomes affordable to do that and less impactful on the environment.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. What's going to happen is that when cellular ag comes to scale, you can bring the price down. Meat companies are going to quickly adopt that, because if they don't, they're literally throwing money out the door. They're wasting land, they're wasting time, they're wasting water, and there will be a social stigma with producing meat, almost like littering. People will say, like, why would you be so wasteful? And can you imagine driving down the street and someone threw out their cigarette pack? You'd be like, what are you doing? And I think that animal agriculture is going to go the way of littering and the way of smoking, actually.
You could imagine like fast food chains, right, that are processing, hundreds of millions of pounds of meat on an annual basis, and start incorporating cell-based meat into that over time, I think is something that you will for sure see.
Yeah, I do too. And you'll see it in my lifetime. So this isn't like a pipe dream way down. This is happening in my lifetime. I'm going to say within a decade, you'll see that shift, and it won't become the majority for like 2 or 3 decades, but you'll see it. I also want to say, since, we're knowledge dropping the whole way through this, I was just speaking at the Future Food Tech Conference, and the official word for a vegan who eats cellular meat is a cegan. CEGAN. And I would be a cegan. I'd probably only do it once because I don't miss meat and I don't really like the taste of meat, but I'm all about the cegan concept, and it's a new word. Vegetarian, flexitarian, cegan.
That's great to know.
Well, okay. We're talking about, cellular meat and when it's going to come online. And one of the reasons it's not online yet is the science is close, but not quite there, and the money. So, lots of investment needs to go into cellular agriculture, particularly to bring the price down so that, it's more efficiently created. So I'm wondering, are you guys even taking investors? Are you doing it all yourselves?
We've raised some capital so far, and we'll plan on doing further financing in the near future to fund growth for the company.
And I'm curious, what has been the general reaction of the investor community? Thank God you're here. We've needed this. Or has there been resistance to the tune of, but there are others that exist. Why should you be here?
I think that we're unique and we're differentiated when it comes to, investment opportunities. And I think that a lot of the capital that's been deployed in the plant-based industry up until today has really been focused around product development and brands, technology and e-commerce companies. So I think that's also a key differentiator. But overall, there's still a great appetite for investment in this industry, because of the amount of growth that we're seeing.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting. Like I've never been involved in a space where you really are making. Everybody that's doing this is making whether they're us or our competitors, everybody's making an impact. And
Yes.
and there's a lot of demand on the capital market side for sure. And we're fortunate that we're able to finance to the extent that we need to finance our growth trajectory. Overall, it's just been such an exciting experience over the last few months since our launch, and we've just gained a lot of traction, and we're just really excited for the future.
And I'm curious, the investors that are interested, are they interested because it's online shopping and they can see that trend, or are they interested because it's plant-based? And are they plant-based, or are they primarily not plant-based but see the opportunity?
I think overall the demand is for the plant-based sector. There's,
Okay.
the e-commerce and technology, has been around for, I've been, in e-commerce for many years, but I
Sure.
think that we cross over plant-based and e-commerce together, which is more unique than where a lot of the capital is being deployed for other companies, like I mentioned, that focus more on production.
Okay, well, if you want in on the action, you know how to find Kory. He's available, LinkedIn, etc. Or reach out to me and I can put you in touch with Kory. But you hang out on LinkedIn, so if you are an investor and you're interested, you know what to do, people. Okay, so Kory, you did allude to it yourself. At some point, you said we are vegan, or even in our household, something like this. And let me just get that right. You and your 3 kids are all vegan. Is that right?
Yes, in our house, our kids will occasionally have a slice of pizza if they're out or at a restaurant, but we're in no way punitive with that. We're not, but in our house and what we cook here, and for myself and my wife, we are, and the kids are as well. And it's amazing. My 5-year-old and my 10-year-old are so aware of it and aware of the food that they're eating now. It's just
Wow.
really cool.
That is so cool. That is so cool because we've gotten away from that connection to our food, not only cooking it and making it, but where does it come from? And it's not far fetched to say that some kids might think chicken nuggets are, like a thing, like not a plant or an animal, but they might not make any connection to what that actually is. So it's wonderful to see that connection again. And I think food connects us all. So when we're connected to our food, I think we're very much connected to each other. So that to me is very inspirational. But I'm wondering if you can share, because I'm assuming it's you who went vegan first and not your 5-year-old who told you to go vegan. So I'm wondering when you said to yourself, if there's a moment in time that you can remember when you said, I'm never going to have meat and dairy again. No going back.
My process was over the course of about 10 years, and it started. We were actually living in the Caribbean,
Oh,
and
cool.
meat supply there was pretty poor because it was imported, and half the time it was like rotten by the time you got it to your
Mhm.
house and stuff. And I watched Forks Over Knives, and I don't know. I guess I connected and started at that time focusing on learning about the slaughterhouse videos, and
Yeah.
just that's when I started eliminating meat out of my diet. And back then there was not really a lot of alternatives, so
Mm.
it took longer to get to where I am today and eliminating fish and dairy products. But from when I started then to where we are today, the amount of options that are available now is almost like you really don't have an excuse, right? So if you wanted to go vegan, you could replace pretty much anything with an alternative at this point. So that's what I find most fascinating. Like back in the day, there weren't the same level of options as you have now, and that makes a big difference for people if they're taking the initiative to go vegan. The fact that there's so much more resources available today.
Yeah, we had friends over for dinner. We have an outside area that's a big fire pit separates us by 7 feet from our guests who come over. So we had a couple over and they bought us some tins of foie gras. So, I mean, like everything right down to the fake foie gras, because we would never have foie gras, obviously. So we had this foie gras thing, and I don't even miss the taste of foie gras or even remember what it was or why anybody would have it. But the fact is, like, that sort of level of product is out there that there's just not a thing that you can't have, for sure.
Exactly.
Okay, so my next question for you, which I love to end interviews with, and maybe you can kind of do some thinking on, is what do you wish you knew 10 years ago that you know now?
I think what I've come to realize more over the years, aside from not having the desire to harm or eat animals, has really been the environmental impact of the meat industry, and
Yeah.
how eating sort of off of a plant-based diet, for every single person can have an impact. So the more people that start incorporating into their diet will have, whether you're vegan for ethical reasons or for health reasons or sports performance, either way, you are having an impact on the environment by eating a plant-based diet. And so I think in the past, for me, it was really focused on the ethics of it, and a lot of the media in the past around the vegan community was focused on animal rights and slaughterhouse videos. And, that was something that was impactful for me. But I think when we're trying to mainstream veganism and you look at, documentaries like Game Changers, right, which features like world-class athletes like Tia Blanco, who's our brand ambassador, is a great example. These are world-class athletes that are vegan and performing at the highest level of athletic ability. And so I think that the approach of showing people that, yes, it's better for the environment, it's better for animal welfare, but it's also better for your own health too. And so I think that's something that's really impactful. And I think that type of media is what really has more of an impact on the general population than your typical like slaughterhouse videos, which can be really off-putting for somebody that does eat meat, that might want to try something plant-based, but if you threw that in their face, it would probably turn them away.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. What I'm really looking for is as more and more corporations bring on plant-based items, so they have their meat burgers, but they're also having plant-based burgers, they're going to start diverting those advertising budgets to promoting their plant-based options, because their plant-based options, when brought to scale, are going to be less expensive, as we discussed, because land, water, time, et cetera. Exactly. So they're going to want to put advertising budgets behind that. And lo and behold, it's just going to be oh so manly to eat a plant burger. So I'm waiting for those budgets.
Yeah, no, I think that one of the most impactful things and what is so significant is seeing large meat production companies that are diversifying and understand that this is the new trend and this is where the market's going, and the companies that are taking initiatives to start producing plant-based products and understanding that that's where their market's going. That's really impactful in my opinion.
It's really impactful, and it's, survival of the fittest, because they either adapt or die, because we're going from 7 billion people on the planet to 10 billion people, and we're not getting more land and we're not getting more water. In fact, we're getting less land, because with climate crisis, we have less arable land than we had before. So if those companies want to be around for the long haul, and sometimes they don't think that way. Sometimes people think just about their own CEO tenure, and they think 3 years out and that's all they're going to see. But for those, particularly like Cargills of the world that are still family owned and they want to be around for generations, you have to start switching. You won't make it. It's survival of the fittest. So again, happening in my lifetime, folks. It's a very interesting time to be alive and a great time to see the food supply system change. Okay, 2 quick questions on our way out. If you are having a bad day, and during COVID, sometimes people had a lot of them, is there a phrase that you say to yourself to get yourself back in the groove?
I don't have a phrase.
You don't? Nothing that says like, this too shall pass, or, just breathe, or you're perpetually happy all the time. I don't know.
I'm a pretty happy person. I gotta be honest. I'm happy being involved in this, in the industry that I'm in. I couldn't think of anything more personally satisfying to be doing right now. And, I'm healthy, and we have an exciting business that we're working on. And I don't know. I think that, it's just, I'm in a good place for that.
It's all good, Chez Vejii, which is pretty awesome. Okay, my truly very last question for you. You are running around. You're super busy. You forget to have lunch. You don't have time. What is your go-to snack?
Cashews.
Okay, I'll tell you my go-to snack, and I'm prepared because I know that I love this. I don't just do this on hikes when I'm like packing food, but I do this all the time. I take a salted cashew and I stick it in a date. And then it's like, I've got sweet, I've got salty, I've got fatty. It's great.
I'll have to try that.
Oh my gosh, I want to thank you for being with me today. If you guys don't know shopveggie.com, go ahead and hit it up. You're going to find a lot of new things like I did. So I'm going to follow up with you, Kory, for beehive pepperoni. I want to check that out. And then I'm going to go and order myself some tofurkey ham roast in amber ale. I did not even know that existed. So lots of stuff that you can find on shopveggie.com. Thank you, everybody, for being with me. Thank you, Kory, for being here. Thank you, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and this is going to be on podcast very soon. So be sure to share, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Bye, Kory. Kory, you stay put. Everybody else, see you.